The Council Hall of Unity floated above the golden clouds of Orin Prime, its crystal spires shining like blades in the sunlight. It was built to symbolize peace among all species of the known galaxy. For centuries it worked until humanity left. The council chambers were quieter now. The usual murmur of trade envoys and fleet representatives had faded to nervous whispers. Even the light seemed duller. The air carried a weight that no one wanted to name. They all remembered the day humanity walked away, not with threats or weapons, but with silence. At first, the council had thought it a bluff. Humans had always been unpredictable, passionate, and prone to bold gestures. They had entered the galactic stage with fire in their eyes, building colonies in harsh worlds that no one else would dare touch. They had fought wars against pirates, repaired damaged trade lanes, and shared their technology freely. Humanity had become the glue that held the council together, and then they left. It began with quiet withdrawals. Their ambassadors stopped attending the council's sessions. Their fleets returned from patrols without explanation. Their trade convoys ceased to appear on the star charts. The humans said nothing. No message of protest. No warning. Only silence. The council had panicked. They sent envoys to Earth, to Mars, to every human colony. All returned with the same report: empty skies. Every world once marked as human was abandoned. Cities stood intact, power still humming through silent streets, but no life remained. Even their communication networks were left running, broadcasting the same single message in every language known to the galaxy: we are gone. Remember why? The council had debated for months, arguing over what remember why could mean. Some claimed it was a threat. Others called it a statement of sorrow. The truth no one knew, but as years passed, the galaxy began to feel the absence like a wound that refused to heal. Trade collapsed in certain sectors. The outer colonies, once protected by human fleets, fell into chaos. The balance of power shifted. Old rivalries reignited. Without human mediation, the council meetings grew more bitter, filled with accusation and fear. Now, 20 standard years later, the consequences had come full circle. In the central chamber, the High Speaker adjusted the energy lights and looked around at the gathered delegates. The faces, scaled, furred, chitinous, and metallic, looked weary. "Order," said the Speaker, voice trembling through the air. "This meeting is called to discuss the human artifacts found in the outer spiral." A murmur rippled through the chamber. The word human still carried power. A tall avian envoy rose, feathers shimmering dark blue. "We discovered them on the world of Callus 3, he said. An entire structure buried beneath the surface. Still active, still waiting. "What sort of structure?" asked another delegate. "A crystalline being that glowed faintly. A machine. Massive. Silent. But our sensors detected energy readings unlike any known source. When our teams approached, the ground trembled. Words appeared on their visors. You still do not understand." Then the machine powered down. Gasps filled the chamber. The Speaker leaned forward. "And your team survived." "They did," said the avian. But they reported hearing music, human music. It played through the ground itself. The chamber fell silent again. Everyone remembered human music. They had filled the galaxy with it. From the soft hum of their ancient symphonies to the rhythmic beats that echoed across mining stations and spaceports, it was said that humans could turn even war into melody. The crystalline delegate spoke again. "Perhaps they left those machines as a warning." "No," said another, a reptilian scholar with golden eyes. "They left them as a memory. They wanted us to see what we had done." The Speaker frowned. "And what did we do exactly?" The reptilian envoy's gaze swept the room. "We silenced them. Every time humanity spoke of fairness, the council called it arrogance. When they offered aid, we called it interference. When they questioned our policies, we called it rebellion. We forced them to choose between obedience and self-respect. They chose silence. The room grew tense. No one wanted to admit the truth. Humanity had once carried the council through its darkest years, feeding colonies, protecting trade routes, saving entire species from extinction. But their methods had often been direct, blunt, and uncomfortable for those who preferred diplomacy over action. The avian delegate spread his wings slightly. "We believed they were too emotional, too impulsive, too human. And yet," said the reptilian, "they accomplished more in 2 centuries than we did in 10,000. A hush settled again. Outside the council hall, the great storm belts of Orin Prime rolled endlessly, lightning flashing across the sky. From above, the hall looked small, just another fragile structure adrift in chaos. Inside, the debate continued. Some wanted to locate humanity's hidden colonies. Others insisted on leaving them alone. A few feared what they might find if they ever did. One younger delegate, a human historian by ancestry but born long after the departure, stood and addressed the assembly. "I studied their records," he said. "Every major decision humanity made in the council came from one belief, that unity must be earned, not demanded. They believed the galaxy was strong enough to rise together, but the council used their strength as a shield instead." He paused. "When they realized we would never change, they left. Not in anger, but in disappointment." The speaker lowered her gaze. "Then we have failed?" "No," the historian said quietly. "We have only begun to understand." The following months saw a change across the galaxy. Fleets that once patrolled human borders began venturing into abandoned territories, seeking any trace of the vanished species. They found worlds overgrown with strange new plants, oceans purified by machines that no longer needed masters, and satellites still transmitting silent signals. One team found a message etched into the surface of a moon near the old Sol boundary. It was not written in code, but in plain language for all to read. "Do not look for us among the stars. Look for us within yourselves." When the message reached the council, a wave of unease swept through every system. Some called it philosophy, others called it a challenge. But the meaning grew clear over time. Humanity had not simply left, they had ascended beyond what the council could understand. Rumors spread that humans had found a way to travel beyond known space, outside the limits of time itself. Some claimed to see fleeting signals at the edge of the galaxy, beacons pulsing in old Morse code, short bursts of light repeating endlessly, the pattern translated into a single word. Wait. For centuries the council waited. They rebuilt what was broken, tried to restore the balance. Without humanity, progress was slow, but the lesson remained. Their silence had become the galaxy's teacher. On the 1,000th year after humanity's departure, the council held a memorial at the same hall where they once stood. The new speaker, older than any living species before her, looked across the gathered crowd and said, "We do not mourn them. We endure them. Their memory shapes our every act. Their silence still speaks." From the edges of the hall, a faint vibration rippled through the floor. Lights flickered. For the first time in a millennium, the council's main communication array received a signal from beyond the known rim. It was faint, distorted by distance and time, but unmistakably human. A voice spoke, calm, patient, and resolute. "We see you have learned. Now remember why we left." Then the signal ended. Every delegate sat frozen. The sound had carried warmth and sorrow together, as if spoken by an old friend who still cared deeply but could not return. The council scholars spent years decoding its deeper layers. Hidden within the frequency was data, images of the galaxy itself shining bright and unified. The message was clear. Humanity had been watching. From beyond the spiral arms, beyond the dark reaches, they had waited until the council could stand without them. Their silence had been both punishment and lesson. And now, as the message spread, worlds began to change once more. The colonies rebuilt in harmony. Trade routes reopened under fair terms. No species held dominance over another. For the first time, the council's ideals were no longer just words. They were real. The speaker often visited the old human sector, where ruins of Earth still floated in quiet orbit. She would stand before the preserved remains of a monument bearing the same words found across every world. "We are gone. Remember why," she whispered softly. "We do." Her voice carried into the stillness, and for a moment, she thought she heard a faint echo, like a distant reply across time. Humanity had not vanished completely. They had become something greater, beyond matter or limitation. Their legacy endured in every act of cooperation, every moment of courage shown by species once divided. They had walked away in silence, but their absence had taught the galaxy how to listen, and so, the council endured, forever guided by the memory of those who left not out of weakness, but because they believed others could rise. In the quiet halls of Orin Prime, the storm outside still raged. But within, for the first time in 1,000 years, peace was not fragile. It was earned, somewhere far beyond the reach of any signal humanity watched. not as rulers or saviors, but as witnesses to what they had set in motion. They had given the galaxy the greatest gift possible, the chance to grow without them. And though the stars themselves may one day fade, the silence of humanity would remain, echoing through eternity like a promise fulfilled.